Wild West and Native Americans. During the Gilded Age, the development of the Wild West and issues concerning the Native Americans greatly impacted American culture, politics, economics, and society.
Objective: learning how the Wild West and the Native Americans influenced American culture, politics, economics, and society.
The Native American culture varied throughout different regions of the world. Most Native American tribes were hunter-gatherers and farmers. After horses were introduced by the Europeans, Native Americans became primarily nomadic. They used bison skin tents and teepees for shelter because they were easy to tear down and set up as they moved. The role for women in Native American societies was to farm, while the men would hunt and fish. The Native Americans gave leadership to those who were most experienced and wise. Their religion was strongly based on connecting to nature. Native Americans believed in using everything they killed: bones, skin, fur, everything. Natives believed being wasteful was a sin. Most Native Americans worked for subsistence and not profit. However, the increase in American hunting in the Western territories threatened their hunting practices and way of life. Cowboys in the Wild West. Cowboys were primarily located in Texas. They were skilled horsemen and they took great pride in their work. Cowboys used lariats, saddles, spurs, and branding irons to gather cattle and do their job properly.
During the late 1800s and 1900s, the United States government began making laws and policies concerning the Native Americans and the land they owned. In 1871, the Indian Appropriation Act was passed, which declared that Indian tribes and nations were no longer independent powers within the U.S. This law also prevented Indian tribes and nations from making treaties with the U.S. government. With the expansion of the nation, the Native Americans were pushed further and further westward. Many business owners and politicians believed that the best land should be held by American citizens and businesses. As a result, the Dawes Act of 1887 was passed, which divided tribal lands and led to the U.S. enforcing reservations for the Native Americans to live on, which limited the Native Americans to a radius that they could live in. The U.S. government made promises to pay the Native Americans for the land that was taken. However, when the tribe leaders insisted payment, the government avoided repaying them.
About economics, after 1865, with the increasing need for beef, many Texans go into cattle raising. A giant cattle industry was established in Texas. This industry took 1.4 million square miles, 44% of the whole nation. The cattle industry stretched from Texas to Canada to the Rocky Mountains. As the cattle industry moved west, so did the agricultural industry. People found gold and silver in the West, which led to mining becoming a major industry. The railroad helped to transport goods from the West across the nation.
Cowboys were key in the growth of the cattle industry in the West. However, the growth of the transcontinental railroads, the settlement of the West, and barbed wire used to divide land caused a decline in the need for cowboys. To develop the West, Native Americans were forced onto reservations, and culture differences eventually caused conflict between the Native American and American people. The Sand Creek Massacre was led by John M. Chivington and resulted in the deaths of nearly 200 Native Americans. After this conflict, many Native Americans believed it would be in the best interest of their people to begin assimilating into American society. Like other foreigners joining American society, they were met with opposition and prejudice. Culture. Native Americans were nomadic hunters and farmers. Their culture focused on working for subsistence and avoiding any wastefulness. The Native American hunting culture was threatened by the massive increase in American hunting and settlement in the West. Cowboys were skilled horsemen and were proud of their work.
The American government began making laws concerning the Native Americans that declared Indian tribes and nations were no longer independent powers within the U.S. and could no longer form treaties, as well as limited nomadic tribes to reservations.
Economics. The cattle industry, established in Texas, covered about 44% of America. Railroads took those goods to the rest of the nation. About society, cowboys played a key role in the West, but were soon not needed. Tensions between Native Americans and the U.S. government led to war. Many Native Americans assimilated into American society.
Works cited. Contribution.